Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Okay, let's continue with Master YongHua's teaching on chant. You know, it's something that we need to make more people aware of. That is, his chant is really authentic Wei-Yang teaching. So it's very rare indeed in this day and age to be able to learn about how he trained his disciples in America. So the important thing is that it really worked. Whatever he did, he trained a lot of enlightened disciples, and which is a rare deed nowadays, because nowadays to become enlightened is extremely difficult. And not only did he have a lot of enlightened disciples, some of them used to be pretty good. All right, continue.
很多的工作要来做。
Master, last time the audio ended at slide 202, but you only explained.
Oh, I haven't finished comment yet. Okay, thank you. So, continuing established teachings. After you have meritorious deeds and virtues, then you can teach and transform living beings, teach and transform living beings. Okay, so in order to teach living beings, you need to first establish merit and virtues, okay, and then you teach and transform living beings. So think of it as doing things that you don't normally do. For example, Hinayana people, they become enlightened, meaning they reach fourth stage Arhat, the Pratika Buddhas, and said, I don't need anything. I don't need anyone. So that's how that's why they see that there's no need to even to establish merit and virtue. And that's why they don't have to teach at all. Okay. However, if you want to teach, as per in a Mahayana tradition, if you're enlightened, you're supposed to teach. You're supposed to share your wisdom with others and pay back society for supporting you to become enlightened. You didn't become enlightened by yourself. You became enlightened because along the way, a lot of people helped you. And therefore, now you have something worthwhile. It is imperative that you pay back. You start paying back. And that's the Mahayana spirit. Okay? So how do you start paying back? You start paying back and say, okay, instead of sitting here or staying here in my cocoon, in my small world, enjoy my bliss and peace and bliss, I will make sacrifices. I will sacrifice my bliss and peace. And in order to teach people, because when you teach living beings, it's a lot more hassle, really worth it. Trust me. If you teach living beings at all, you realize that it's too much of a hassle. They don't listen. They are just too much trouble. And so whatever they bring you back in return is really not worth it. Okay, not at all. But you say, but you know what? I know it's not worth it, but I still need to teach living beings. And so that's a virtuous deed because you are taking losses, big losses. Let me tell you, Okay, that's called establishing virtues. What about merit? Well, in order to teach, you have to have facilities to teach. Okay, you could choose to teach in a small scale, then you sit there under the tree and you wait for people to come and teach you. Okay, Master Wei Shan, when it's time for him to teach, he, instead of sitting there in a mountain and be happy by himself and be content with teaching a small group of people, the smaller, the more controllable, the smaller you can pick and choose. The reason it's small is because they pick and choose. Only the good ones get to make it. Bad ones are turned away. That's how they maintain control over the quality. However, Master Wei Shan chose not to do that. So he agreed to let a temple being built that can house a lot of disciples, meaning a lot of headaches, lots of losers coming and causing a lot of problems for you. And so he did a very meritorious thing by establishing temples for teaching purposes, not for his own comfort. You see, gongde, merit and virtue, is an act of sacrifice, but adds value to the community. That community. All right? So that's why you have to establish deeds and virtues. Then you have the means, you have the proper conditions to teach living beings. Next. And when living beings hear you, see you, then bring forth the Bodhi mind, achieve the unsurpassed way. Well, it's speaking too soon. When teaching in Buddhism, it's very personal. People need to hear you. People need to see you. Okay, and that's why that will motivate them to change. You teach by setting an example. You teach by example. That's the way in Buddhism. Okay, so that's why it's a personal relationship. You need to be close. You need to see. You need to touch. Okay, and that's why, to me, it's a shame that Master YongHua, when he came to our country, United States, in the 1960s, and even during his entire lifetime, he had a very limited reach. Not many people really heard or saw him at all. Okay, until after he died. That's when they translated a lot of stuff, and then that's how people of the world, including myself, discovered about how great of a teacher he was, and on a second hand, because we didn't have a chance to see him in person and hear him in person that often. So it's a shame that had it been the case where more people were aware of him and more people get to see him more often, including myself, okay, then their path would be a lot easier. The path towards Bodhi is a lot easier than otherwise. But it's not the case. So that means that we just didn't have the right conditions back then. I hope that with this day of internet and like technology, maybe more and more people will be aware of the training here that's going on in the Wei Yang training here that's going on here in our way places, and come and take advantage of it, because they get to come and see and hear people who or understand how to cultivate. You have a success in cultivation. This is not something that's spoken often because it's very rare to be successful in that. And Master YongHua is too modest to even bring it up. Okay, and it's okay for him to be that pure, but to me also, it's also okay to encourage people and invite people to come and cultivate, make it more available, as long as you do it for them, not do it for yourself. Because remember, when you do it, it's not worth it. It's a lot of hassle. For what? You yourself don't have blessings and virtues, even your speech is very reasonable, nobody wants to listen. Now, so they need to see and hear you. They need to see how you walk, how you talk, how you eat, how you dress. Wait a minute, he dresses very poorly. Okay, how you are. Okay. So, but also, what's very important is that these people, when you want to teach people, you need to have enough blessings and virtues. Why? Blessings, of course, is because you have facilities. You have facilities big enough or appropriate enough for people to come and practice. The Great Assembly Dharma, for example, and that's very expensive. It takes a lot of space. And right now, we're lucky we only have this limited number of people. Imagine that if we have a lot like 2 or 3 times the amount of attendees here, then the facilities would be inadequate. So therefore, you need to have a lot of blessings. The facilities, actually, to be blunt with you, reflect the blessings of the monk or the nuns. Okay, because yes, it belongs to Triple Jewel, but also under control of that monk and nun, and therefore it really reflects his blessings, okay, or her blessings, okay. And so that's why you need to have a lot of blessings, and you have virtues. Why do you need to have virtues? You need to have virtues because there are a lot of people who are very hard to teach. Who are those people? The people who are, let's see, who is hard to teach? I can't think of anyone who's hard to teach. So true. What do you think? One text sunim, who's hard to teach? Can you tell me? Can you think of an example of someone who's hard to teach? Like you tell them, but they say, no, I disagree. That's not how I do things. I know I've been doing things my entire life. So you especially in only those people who have a big head, think highly of themselves. Also, you have these ghosts and demons. I ask you have to teach them too, because you don't, they will misbehave. Okay, and sometimes, for your information, for example, you go to temples, the temples have Pai Wei, the plaques for rebirth, or Chinese system, or medicine master and so forth. Okay, that's where a lot of yin beings live, the ghosts and the demons. Okay, they have access to those things, and so we share space with them. They, they walk in, walk out, and as if it's like a portal, a window into their lives, to where they live. So they come in and come out. Okay, and yeah, that's how. Yeah, absolutely. You see, we treat them so badly. We don't put like nice thing, beautiful altars and statues and incense and so forth. No, we said that's where you're gonna stay. Okay, if you do that often, they're gonna get upset. Say you treat them with no respect. How could you? So they misbehave and they cause trouble for people like you. It's not uncommon in Master Hsuan temple, for example. I went to Seattle, Washington, up north here on our side of the West Coast from a summer retreat with the programs for shamis, little shamis, xiao shamis. So I know how to train small children, but why should I? God, detestable. You know what detestable is, huh, boy? Look it up. Detestable. So we brought a bunch of novices up there, and they had, of course, the lay people heard of us, so they came from Seattle to, drove an hour and a half, 2 hours from Seattle, the capital of the state of, is it Oregon or Washington? Washington, thank you very much. Okay, to pay us a visit, and it's such a long drive, cook for us and bring us things, supplies and groceries and stuff. And since it's late, they stay overnight. There's lots of room there. Master has so many properties. That's a big property too. And so they stayed in the house, houses there. And at night, one of those guys, they were sleeping, and somebody lifted up his bed and woke him up. There's a ghost who practically lifted up the bed and shook him. Okay, so he reported it. Okay, so the master says, really? They're not supposed to do that. Anyone? Does it ever happen to anyone here? Has it been happening and you don't dare tell me? So the master said, you're not supposed to do that. So next night, what happened? Now they didn't lift the head and the bed up anymore. They came and stroked his whiskers and pulled his whiskers. And he reported, no, they're not supposed to do that. So you see, unless you have virtues, those ghosts and spirits will not respect you at all. Of course, the other option, you beat them up. And we'll talk about that later, okay? So you need to do things. So it's just a lot of things. And it's sometimes a virtuous thing to beat them up because you don't want to beat them up. Who cares? But anyway, so you need to have a lot of blessings and virtues in order to teach and defend your way places. And furthermore, finally, what's very important is that besides the fact that you have to do extracurricular activities with these yin beings because they misbehave, that's what they do. They are ghosts and demons because that's what they do. They cause trouble for all of us through people like you, And so you occasionally have to beat them up as well. But for quite often, for a lot of people, you also need to have the fear and the fact that they owe you, okay, that they would be willing to listen to you as a teacher. So that when you scold people, they still like to hear it. They don't run away. They threaten to go home, but in the end, they don't go home. Okay. Now the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas tend to say this way many times. He says, in fact, you have to be humble about it, even though the monks and nuns have blessings, but it's not the whole picture. You may have blessings, but this way place happens because there's a lot of help Like, for example, our temple, let me tell you bluntly, it came from, part of it is the Christian God. It's a church, for God's sake. I mean, this came from the Catholic side, Christian side, okay? So for all these way places to happen, all these facilities to really come into being, you need a lot of support. You need a lot of people, and in particular, it's interesting because most people think that they think they don't have the big picture. All the things happening, whether it's help from lay people or the Christians, Catholics, and so forth, also actually they're being overseen by the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas. You see, the ghosts and spirits, they plant thoughts in your heads and make you do stupid things. Bodhisattvas and Buddhas too, they plant thoughts in your head. But the difference is that to encourage you to do good things. Okay, so I personally believe, because I personally don't want more temples and so forth. But over the years, the last 16 years, I realized that all these things happen because they urge us to work. They urge us to make more sacrifices. Okay, and so that's why I keep on telling people, I teach, but for these things to happen, it's not my job, because if I take it upon me to build a temple and get a lot of facilities, then I am seeking for those things. It's against our style. We don't seek. So these things happen because the Buddhists and Bodhisattvas make it happen, so that we have no choice but do our work. All right, that's the end of the section, I believe. No? Yes, 7, go ahead.
Gold Forest Daniel has a question. Master, you've recently said that when encountering difficulties, we should endure it and not let it bother us. But also you've said that we should be ashamed when we have made mistakes. What should we do when our difficulty is because of our own mistake? How can we let ourselves feel ashamed and not let it bother us? They seem mutually exclusive. Thank you.
Well, it depends on the situation. When you make mistakes, you realize you're making mistakes, you should be ashamed of it. And the difficulties from your mistakes are the results of your mistakes, and therefore you should bear it. So you should be both ashamed and then bear it. Okay? Anything else? Okay, let's continue.
有什么不容易呢？很多的工作要来做。需要人力，需要财力。
Lots of work needs to be done that needs manpower and needs financial resources.
It's because, you see, this drives a point home to me, because when Master YongHua first started, he was on his own, no support. Typically, the monks and nuns would belong to a Buddhist association, meaning you kowtow to someone else and you need to submit to their wills and their whims as well. Therefore, you have to compromise. Master YongHua is not there to compromise. He's there to teach. So therefore, he had to be on his own. Okay, I remember too. A couple of associations asked me to join them with the sponsorship from those big shots, and I refused because I happen to disagree with what they stand for. So I'd rather be poor than join those places and have to kowtow to them. Of course, they offered me pretty high positions as well, but no interest in temples and stuff like that. But I had no interest whatsoever. So just similar to in the tradition of Master YongHua there, I didn't realize it. But anyway, I was too lazy. Let me be honest with you. I was hoping that by refuse those things, I wouldn't have anything to work with, so I wouldn't have to work. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to work. I'm Vietnamese. In Vietnam culture, we don't like to work too hard, unlike you Koreans. You Koreans are hard workers. We Vietnamese would like to take it easy. At least I like to take it easy. Okay? Oh, I'm Vietnamese, or worse yet, I went to a French high school. I was enamored of the French system. So the French are even more lazy than the Vietnamese. Okay, so you have, a double jeopardy there. So I really, honestly, to this date, I still don't want to work. If you ask me, do you want to make a temple? I said, no. You have to force me. Anyway, so Master YongHua was struggling a lot too when he first started, didn't ask for help. People, especially Westerners, didn't realize, unlike us Asians, that when you see a way place, you're supposed to help. So you see him telling people here, spelling it out for them. Done, a lot of work needs to be done here. This is not a temple. His building is like old, dilapidated, and in bad conditions. Do you see photos of his Buddha hall? The first Buddha halls he has. You look at that versus our Wei Mountain Temple or Gold Forest Temple or Conch or Jewel Mountain Temple and so forth. You see, what we have is luxury, superior grade, whereas what he had is like the pits, a dump. Okay, and his Buddha statues are so ugly because he made them himself. You see his photo, his Buddha statues, he made it himself because he too poor, he couldn't afford to buy statues. I can afford to buy statues, but I refuse to make them because I know you're going to laugh at them, like I'm laughing at his statues. To me, you can't make a statue look like Raphael, or Michelangelo's statues, and what are you doing? Come on, this is the West. This is not Asia. Huh? The Westerners are going to laugh at us. Yeah. So anyway, so he has to remind people. He said, lots of work needs to be done. And manpower, financial resources. He's very poor, that he was very, very poor. Okay. And only losers would hang around with him. Rich people would say, hey, I wouldn't go to the dump like your temple. And then you tell me that I'm wrong, and then you criticize me, and you tell me that I shouldn't drink, I shouldn't gamble, I shouldn't use drugs, and so forth. Well, you forgot I'm God. Who are you to tell me anything? So that's why it's tough for him. Yes, a lot of things were lacking, including food or clothing. Okay? All right. Continue.
Now, 人类财力也要买这种材料， 来把它做好。
We need manpower to do the work and also need financial resources to buy materials to make it work.
Speaking of manpower, all of a sudden tonight, I have a lot of manpower. I wonder why. Is there some heavy lifting to do? Huh? All right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so lots of manpower to do the lifting. Financial resources to buy, cars. Continue. Also, so many men. I'm so impressed. Usually men have better things to do. Yes, continue.
在这种情形之下，是看咱们中美佛教会佛教讲堂金刚不净所有的护法都应该
So, under the circumstances, all Dharma protectors from Sino-American Buddhist Association, Buddhist Lecture Hall, and Vajra Bodhisi should do their part.
尽一份自己的心力。所谓有钱出钱的功夫，有力出力的。
Whoever has money should contribute money. Whoever has strength should contribute strength.
那没有钱也没有力，就出一个口的功德。什么叫口的功德呢？
Whoever doesn't have money or strength should contribute their mouth. What does that mean?
在口上口头上各处帮着宣传一下，令那个不知道佛法的人，他能知道佛法。
They should help spread the words everywhere. Let whoever doesn't know about the Buddha Dharma hear about the Buddha Dharma.
令那已经知道佛法的，他们愿意做功德，可以来到做功德。
Let whoever already knows about the Buddha Dharma to be informed that if they are willing to plant blessings, they can plant blessings with us.
Okay, stop. So this is how he explained. He says these people should be taught to plant blessings. Okay, I think that's a Chinese style, and it would not work nowadays. I think that's what the attitude I've always had all these years is that they come, they eventually know what to do. But I think we should, as we have more manpower and now have no choice but do the Dharma propagation, because if we don't, who will? And so we need to, I feel we can no longer afford to wait for people to wake up and understand. Okay? We need to speak their language. Let me explain. The reason Buddhism is dying is because no young people are coming anymore. Because we have nothing to offer them. All the Buddhism, the Buddhist stuff is geared towards helping the older people, Pure Land, and so forth. We really have little to offer the younger generation. Okay, and so yes, we teach Chan meditation, but how many people are willing to endure the hardship, the hard training we have? Okay, And so and that's not what young people are looking for. They don't understand. No one ever trained them. Their parents never taught them. Okay? So I hope we spread the word so that you become parents yourself, become uncles and so forth. And you can tell the next generation, you can preach them about the proper things, the right and the wrongs. Okay, listening to your elders, be respectful and all those things, and do the good things. It's not okay to steal. It's not okay to harm, no matter what your reasons are. Okay, those are the principles that I wish that my parents and my elders would teach me, in my generation even. The young generation, they don't know anymore. They're so confused and disapprove of the previous generation. So anyway, so the Buddhism has a problem. Our stuff is geared towards older people, okay, who have more needs. They're sick, so they come to the temple for help. They need to worry about their death, okay, and the future lives, okay, and they refuse to be with God, okay. And therefore, yes, it's geared towards the older people, but we also need to include the young people, okay? And therefore, we need to have programs that would interest the young people, okay? So what lots of Buddhists, monks and nuns are doing is they set up social activities where young people will come to socialize, okay, and to look for boyfriends and girlfriends and have a good time, okay. I don't think that's a Buddhist thing to do, okay. We don't have a social club, okay. I don't like it when I see people go and hug trees. Wait a minute, didn't I do that recently? Okay. Remove that video from the internet, please. I'm criticizing myself. That's wrong. Okay, so every now and then I do have a judgment. What's it in judgment? Failure in judgment? What? A lapse in judgment. Thank you very much. A lapse in judgment. So I admit, okay, it's wrong to go hug trees. It's the most useless thing to do. You will arouse the spirits in the trees. We don't want to arouse them, we want to leave them alone. Okay? So, and things like that, I'm glad I didn't walk down that path. When I chose to become a monk, okay, I had to choose two paths, cultivation versus the social thing. The social thing is a lot more popular, lots more money, lots more fame, which I was looking for, and then the cultivation is hard work. I'm glad I chose cultivation only because I was lazy. Okay, knowing full well there's a very limited number of people who want to cultivate, so that's why I chose it. Not because I was not greedy of fame and profit. I admit to you. Okay. But also I saw those people who hug trees, and I don't want to be like them either. Okay, so anyway, so in the future, my point here is that in the future, we need to have activities that would draw the young generation, and I need you, monks and nuns, for us at my era as well, your times as well. You need to have these programs. For example, whatever that's successful, I don't mind doing charity work because young people can identify with that. Okay? And one of the things that I'm reaching out in the future is do more charities as well. Okay? That will bring people in to help the work or whatever. Okay, what for? contribute, whether money, labor, and so forth. What for? It's because it's an excuse to help them plant blessings in the proper places. It's like temples are like banks, not the way you think. What I use when I use the analogy of banks is that when you plant blessings, it's like you put money into the bank. Okay, so you put money in the bank. You have to draw money from that bank. You can't go to the next bank and take the money from that bank. Okay, so that's the same thing. In Buddhism, you want to have blessing. You better choose which where to plant blessings. It's not the same. Okay, I used to say they're the same. I was lying. Okay, that's enough confession from me tonight. Go ahead, 7.
Thank you, Master. Perhaps we should consider the young people audience. For them, I think planting blessings in a bank may be kind of old school, but maybe planting blessings in a cryptocurrency could be a metaphor they could connect with.
Sure, absolutely. Crypto wallets, absolutely. Thank you. What I meant is that even though they come and work at a soup kitchen, that's a good thing. It's a charity work. However, that's planting blessings with a church. However, when you go and work in a soup kitchen or do charity programs here at our temple, they are actually planting blessings differently. And I feel the better off because that faith has been doing that for many, many years themselves, working in soup kitchens. Look at where they are. They still get divorced, they still get, unhappy, and so forth. So we need to have programs that enable people to contribute. So in the future, we need to do charity work as well, okay, to enlarge the thing. It's no longer about us. It's about engaging in the community. Okay, does it make sense? So I'm all ears. I would appreciate your input. Yes, 6.
Master, here's just an idea. If we could prevail upon our politicians to allow a student loan debt problem to allow the students to pay back the loan by making contributions to a qualified 501, which could be Bodhi Light International. If we could sweeten the deal, say, for every $1 that you contribute, we take $2 off of your student debt, thinking that the welfare benefit of people at large with churches and temples and religious orgs being able to service people and take that burden off of the government, there might be some wiggle room to pull something like that off.
Well, that's an excellent idea. Okay, absolutely. I love the idea. It's fantastic. Problem is implementation. Who's going to sponsor it? Which politician? That's not how politicians work. The politicians work and they endorse it because it's to their advantage. It brings in more campaign funds. So that's a very difficult sell because, the 501c3. It's a tough sell in general. Usually the politicians endorse it because they get some money in their re-election campaign. Let's face it. Yeah?
Yeah, I think this would have to be pulled off like a qualified lobbying group of all churches and synagogues and temples
Yeah.
Islam meaning places, and prevail upon the government that they have to listen to you because you, after all, represent millions of people. You get to that point, they'll listen.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. It makes sense. We need people who can cultivate to do that in addition to working the regular jobs. Excellent idea. Go ahead, Q&A.
Emitofuo, thank you, Master. One of the idea that I see in high school, the kid, they need volunteer hours, and we can give them volunteer hours. Let's say our temple need a wall to be painted or washing dishes at X amount of time, then or plant the tree around the temple. The student from high school, they can organize that time, and if we come and talk to different club that they have because they need volunteer hours, then we can bring the children to the temple and they can contribute by that way too, Master.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Yeah, use the high schools and the children and so forth. So you know what it means, Onu, don't you? I need to buy San Diego. So like San Diego has like 35 acres. Okay, a mountain in the park area. You can tell the students go there and pick up the trash.
Yeah, they do. They volunteer their time and go pick up trash.
Actually, it's not a bad idea. We can organize community groups and get the local students to come and do pick up trash around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That'd be
Pretty sure a lot
fantastic.
of them sign up because my son does that every weekend. He and his group will go to the park and pick up trash and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that would be something that would encourage Sean to participate. Yeah? Huh?
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Catholic.
Actually, fun fact, that's how I got involved in the church with her idea. It was my high school teacher needed me to do some hours, so community service. So I was able to talk to the priest, and I was able to do my community service hours at the church by cleaning the church and doing things. And then after that, I kind of got more involved in the church.
I see.
So it kind of works.
Okay, very good. All right, yeah, excellent. Thank you. That's a good idea. Yes. See, we should listen to more ideas and not just talk. We like these ideas. Let's do one. Implement one. Let's do it. Don't just talk. Yes, 8.
Master, there's a non-profit organization that give out grants to widows, to women, that they give free grants that help with women open their business or deal with special difficulty. So if they want, I can pass on information.
Well, I would want to deal with women and difficulties.
So
Wait a minute. Wait. It sounds like there's a lot of headaches.
No, only if they're widows. After they get divorced, they can receive the grant to start their own life, the business. I come across because I've been.
My nuns don't know how to advise widowed and poor people. We need to do something that we're skilled at doing, and we know and we like to do. I don't like women. I'm sorry. Plus, I'm lazy on top of it. Yes, 7.
Master, I was just thinking some of those outreach programs might go well if we also, when we launch programs for...
Yes. Do not. You have to wait until it's done. Okay, anyone else? Okay, very good. Okay, so my point here is that we need to have mechanism for these people to plant blessings that interest them. You can't simply, from the old school, Chinese school, like Master Shengwan said, I cultivate. Okay? It's not going to work. You want to reach out to a young generation. We need to have things that interest them. That's like the Catholic just said. That's why the churches are so successful. You have to learn from them. And not whoever want to be like a church. Yes, 7.
Thank you, Master. I've been a lot of teenagers and like young people. They're like very interested in sound, like sound baths and like Tibetan bowls and like meditation with that. So maybe that's something that we can implement too, like chant meditation, but like concentrating in the sound of the bowls or something. So then people can, just come and then just stick to the lectures and maybe, I don't know.
Meditation on sound?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have like Tibetan bowls and sound crystal bowls and different instruments. So they meditate concentrating in the sound of those instruments.
Okay. Okay, something worth considering. All right, so I promise we'll do that, okay? Sounds good to you? Okay, in the future we do that, okay? Because I used to be wrong. When I was at Blue Mountain, I was too limited. I said, no, we're not going to do charity because we're not churches. But that's wrong. We need to do things to help young people plant blessings. Okay? By doing things that interest them, besides socializing. Okay? Continue.
那么俺们自己的本身都要是节省一点金钱。
We ourselves should all be conservative with money.
那么，要是能免得了的不用这个钱，就不需要用。一定要用的，那么才用。
If we can save it, not use the money, then don't use it. Only use it when it is a must.
一个人呢，那么节省一点钱，来帮助道布置这个道场。
Everybody can save a little bit of money to help the way place, to protect and support this way place.
这个道场就是大家种福的地方。你想要求福嘛？就要来布置道场，来帮助这个道场。
This way place is a place for everybody to plant blessings. If you are seeking blessings, then you should protect and support the way place. Help this way place.
这个道场也就是大家的良福田，最好的一个福田。
This way place is everybody's excellent field of blessings, the best field of blessings.
所以，示范，那么这个护法都要发心。
So, Dharma protectors of the 10 directions should bring forth the resolve.
尤其是皈依三宝的，都应该发心。
especially the ones who took refuge with the triple jewels, should all bring forth the resolve.
在这个道场做成就。
If you all bring forth the resolve, then this way place can be established.
给自己呀，不要浪费金钱。咱们是节省一下这个金钱呢，来帮助道场。
Do not waste money on yourself. Instead, think about saving this money to help the way place.
自己没有什么必要的那个东西，你买了很多，但是没有什么用。
If you buy lots of unnecessary goods for yourself, that's useless.
你莫如买一点福报，做点功德。
It would be better for you to buy some blessings and do some meritorious deeds.
人人呢花钱来做工，那么我们这个道场呢就会成就。
If everybody brings forth the resolve to do some meritorious deeds, then this way place can be established.
因为众志成城，大家的志愿将来能造一个城，造一个城市。
When people are unified with a single aspiration, they are as strong as city walls. With our aspiration, we can build a city, build a city.
一个人呢，那是很困难。
But it would be extremely difficult to achieve with just one person.
所以主持道场，这是皈依三宝的唯一应该尽的一种责任。
So, to protect and support the way place is one of the responsibilities for the ones who took refuge with the triple jewel.
我在香港造了几个地方，有一个大屿山慈行寺。
I built temples in a few places in Hong Kong. There was Chu Sing Monastery in Lantau Island.
这个地方呢，这个庙的面对的也是北方，背向南。
In this place, the temple faces north, and with its back to south.
烧旗湾那个西乐园寺也是面对的北方。跑马地佛教讲堂也是面对着北方。
Western Bliss Gardens in Shao Keiwan also faces north. Buddhist Lecture Hall in Happy Valley also faces north.
现在到美国，我以为觉得转一转向，但是转来转去也转不过来向。
Now in America, I thought that we could change the direction, but we couldn't.
不面向北方，但是现在成就这个道场又是面向北方。
We didn't want to face north, but now we are establishing this way place. It still faces north.
这个我想就是默默中观音菩萨有一点关系。
I believe, quietly, this has something to do with Guanyin Bodhisattva.
因为观世音菩萨他不愿意面向南方，他面向北方坐。为什么观世音菩萨面向北方坐呢？
Because Guanyin Bodhisattva doesn't want to face south. She sits facing north. Why does she sit facing north?
他就是因为世界上人呢不知道回头，都是往前走，不知道往回走。
That is because worldly people don't know how to turn back. They all walk forward. They don't know how to walk backwards.
所以观音菩萨面向北方走。所以说，南海观音合道坐。
So, Guanyin Bodhisattva sits facing north. There is a saying, why does Guanyin of the South China Sea sit backwards?
南海观世音菩萨，因什么他倒着坐着？佛面向南，观音菩萨他就面向北。
Why does Guanyin of the South China Sea sit backwards? Buddha faces south, but Guanyin Bodhisattva faces north.
对，皆因世人不回头啊，就因为这个世界人呢不肯回头。
That's because worldly people won't turn back, because worldly people refuse to turn back.
Okay, Kong has a question.
Master, in this lecture, he didn't specify which Buddha, so in this context, is it referring to all Buddhas, or is it Sakyamuni Buddha?
Buddha's doing what?
So the Master Sona said about the Kwanum Buddha is facing north, and then the Buddha's facing south. Is this Buddha or a particular Buddha or all Buddhas?
I have no idea why he's talking north and south. Anyone help me out, please? And help out this American-Korean person? A Korean-American person? Huh? Why did he talk about south and north? I have no clues. I'm trying to figure out why he's going there. This temple faces north or south? North. So there's one Yin temple. It's simple. And now we have a temple that faces south. It's a Buddha temple. That's all I care. I mean, that's all I got so far. You know, it's something is great about Master YongHua. 99% of what he says is true. You don't need to question it. I just disagree with some of the things he says in terms of effectiveness, in terms of efficiency for our times. But everything he says is so insightful to me. So I have no clues on why he has to worry about south and north and so forth. I'm too worried about, my daily things like now there's a surge in the COVID thing. Everyone is getting sick everywhere. It keeps going around and round and round and round. So it seems like a last-ditch effort for the COVID demon to terrorize you. Okay, so people are getting the flus with the COVID-19 symptoms repeatedly. Okay, and I laugh because no one is dying. Very few people are dying. We worried a little bit about the kids. The kids should be vaccinated and so forth. But other than that, this high infection rate actually has to do with young children, lots of kids, okay? Except for that guy there, he's not even afraid of COVID-19, you see? So that's what I worry about, that people don't die and not be fooled by this COVID demon here. They only terrorize you. They really are not that harmful to you. All I care about is whether people die or not. You get infected, big deal. You will recover. You will improve your immune system, so you'll less likely be affected. It's going to be around. This COVID thing is going to be around, like the flu. Okay. Yes, 7.
Ray has a question. To fight thoughts of rejecting others, is it a good technique to stop the thought of rejection and replace it with another less judgmental, more humorous thought?
Why you want humor? Like what, for example? Like humor, like instead of rejecting you, like, I don't like you, you're inferior, you say, you're too short.
He has an example.
Is that more humorous? Humorous to who?
He says there was an example of a controlling person, and then after he thought she was controlling, he said, let's see how much more things she can take control over. And you try to use that thought to stop the previous more maybe mean thought or whatever he had.
So he went from rejection to sneering. Okay? So how does it help? No, it's not a good thing. The thing is that the main thing is that you don't do it like worldly people. They substitute one problem for the other. You don't have enough skills to do that. It takes a lot of wisdom to be able to do it properly. The way the Buddhists do it is we do it on purpose. We substitute, and because it's on purpose, it's out of wisdom. You don't have any wisdom. The simple thing is just to stop those thoughts. You should be ashamed of those thoughts. Why do you need to reject them? The people like you. There's no reason on this earth why you should reject people at all. All right, 6.
Thank you, Master. On the subject of the direction that Buddhas and Guanyin Pusa are sitting. So if Guanyin Pusa is sitting north, and I want Guanyin Pusa's help, if I sit south facing Guanyin Pusa, will that be more helpful and beneficial?
Then you might get help from the Buddhists instead of the Guanyin. I have no clues why you have worry about sitting facing south and north. To me, sitting is sitting. There's no south and no north. If you ask me from a pure Buddhist perspective, who cares about south and north? But because I am ignorant. Okay? I really have no idea why he has a worry about north and south. And listen, don't know about the price of real estate in China, in Hong Kong back then, but here, you don't have a lot of choices. Okay? It's so expensive. And you're so glad you have something you can work with. It's north and south. Who gives a hoot? Yes, 7. You still have...
Gold Forest Daniel has a suggestion
yes.
to the young people. He says, Master, I think young people need a place where they can be heard. They think they know it all and they don't want to really learn. Would a temple ever give them, for example, a place where they can express themselves? Maybe where they can dialogue among themselves and adults about things they care about?
Yeah, a forum, huh? That's what we have here. A lot of people, not necessarily young, but they're debating and making fun of each other. We embrace everyone, no matter how weird they are. Young or old, makes no difference to us. So what I was referring to, that's a good idea. We should have a forum for them to speak as well. Absolutely. Solicit the input. Yes, good idea. Okay, turn back, turn around, turn forward. I don't know what it has to do with cultivation, but continue. The Master also has something. He has a point, which I can't figure out yet. Go on.
海无边，回头是岸。
The sea of bitterness is boundless. Turning back is the shore.
I hate this. The Chinese, it's just so poetic. It's so hard, the sea of suffering. Just turn back is the other shore. It's as if I want to go forward. It's true, it's true. What they're trying to say is that it's so Chinese. And if you talk to the Americans, talk to young people nowadays, you have to be more direct. They say, hey, listen, I'm busy. Can you give it to me straight? Huh? Tell me what I need to do. Don't tell me of the sea of suffering. I live here, I suffer because that's my life. I like it. I don't like to turn back. But the point here is that the sea of suffering means that where you are right now, where you're going, you are getting deeper into the sea of suffering. That's what I think what the Chinese are referring to. You continue, you get deeper into trouble, into more suffering. You don't realize that you need turning back, okay? Looking back, okay? 回头. You're turning back is a shore. That's right. Turning back is 回头. Correct. Turning back is that back off. Stop doing it. If you're suffering, you have to stop doing it. It's no one else's fault. If you're in pain, you're in suffering, it's your fault. You have to back off. Okay? There's so much wisdom here, and yet it's not interpreted properly. It's that simple. It's not 回头. 回头 is too Chinese. Okay? He says if you keep on going forward, it's a sea of suffering. It's endless. You keep going forward, okay? It's going to be more and more suffering. All you have to do, you have to realize that safety actually is the other way. That's all it means to me. So translate that into action. Instead of going forward, back off. Instead of picking a fight and going to fighting, back off. Let them win. Huh? Instead of trying to do stupid things and blame others for it, back off. Get out of range. That's all. Keep on backing off, backing out of trouble. It's a wisdom. Okay? This is very specific. If what you are doing is making you miserable, like drinking, for example. Yes, you feel good temporarily, and then, your liver is shot. Okay? And you smell of alcohol, and you can't think straight. Okay? So if you keep on doing it, it's more suffering. You simply are drowning your sorrows temporarily, but you actually still are suffering. Okay? So why don't you stop and back off? Stop drinking or drink less. It's the wonderful wisdom right there. And somehow the Chinese turned into something so abstract. Hui Tou is the shore. You go into the sea, it's very dangerous. You turn back, that's the shore right there. That's safety right there. This is not meant for poetry for us in our times. It's meant for us. It's a call for action. As far as I'm concerned. Where you're looking right now forward, when you commit to go forward, it's more suffering for you. If it bothers you, you need to back off. Back off from what? Let's add an American perspective. Back off from what? Yes.
If you got to back off from being doing something stupid.
Okay, if I'm doing something stupid, can you be more specific? Not everything you do is stupid. I don't think. You look intelligent to me.
From making mistakes.
From mating states?
Making mistakes that you know you could avoid.
Making mistakes? Better? What kind of mistakes? I thought someone like you rarely make mistakes.
Making mistakes that you should avoid. No, I don't.
I'm holding my breath.
If you have a bad habit and you keep doing it and not fixing it.
I used to be like you as well, by the way, until I went to business school. Can you be specific? You can't think in business like that. It's too general. You have to tell people what to do exactly. Can you stop? Can you stop making noises? Can you stop running around? Huh? See, he goes to the other place. See what I mean? See, it's very specific. You cannot, even with the specificity, specific instructions, they still ignore it. See what I mean? Huh? And so need to speak with more specifics. Okay? Do not be like the Chinese here. It's too poetic. It's too abstract. It's beautiful. And, I talk to so many young Chinese people. They quote me all these things, these beautiful lines, these beautiful Buddhist principles. They don't know what the heck to do. They still are engaged in a sea of suffering. They only talk about it. They don't talk about these beautiful things. And this is not China. This is America. We can't talk like that. We can't function like that. Okay? Needs to be specific. What do you do? 6.
Thank you, Master. The most specific statement I can make is don't solve your suffering by inflicting more suffering on yourself. You lose your job. You want to have a drink to ease your suffering. You're inflicting more suffering on yourself when you have that drink, when you smoke the weed, when you take the intoxicant. The trick, which I would from my perspective, most Americans aren't going to know what is something you can do that doesn't inflict suffering on yourself. So instead of saying don't do something, it's better to say do this. If you want to solve your suffering, cross your legs. Stop making karma.
Okay, very good. Yes, now it's more specific. Yes, two.
Thank you, Master.
It has to, when you tell people to do something, it has to be, can you not do this? Can you stop doing that? We have to be specific. We can't tell people, don't be like that. What do you mean, don't be like that? Yes, too.
My understanding is to give up short-term gains. So to give up the gains of lying, give up the gains of stealing, give up the gains of sexual misconduct, giving up the gains of anything that takes you away from virtue, but gives you meaningless joy for the long-term path.
Very good. Excellent. Don't do stupid things, because you know what they stupid are. In the Buddhists, we explain stupid things as violation of the precepts. That's stupid. Don't do it. You keep on doing it, you suffer. And you deserve it. It's your fault, no one else's. Q&A.
Thank you, Master. Sometimes as parents, we do stupid things and we don't even know it. And one of the specific example that I gave is my family during the time that the children and we got COVID, and we let them stay home, slacking off. They don't want to go to school, and finally they return back to school. But in the morning, they would wake up very late and then take their time, and their dad would drive one person to school, and then an hour later, the other kid ready, and then he drove the other one. And I told him, I said, you know why? Why would we teach our kid this bad habit? What we can do for them is here. School start at 7. If you are not ready in the morning, if you wake up late, then Uber yourself to school, pay for your own thing. So they have to be accountable for their own action. And those are the things that I feel like we make mistakes by thought that we're helping our kid and drive them to school, but in the long run, we install bad moral in them. So.
Yeah, discipline. Don't Uber. Let them walk to school. 20 miles.
They Uber
Absolutely.
and they pay their own money, Master.
Oh, they pay their own money. Oh, that hurts. Okay, I got it now. Okay, yes, we have to be specific and link, the consequences of the bad action to the suffering. Absolutely. Yes. Is there still Q&A? Okay, we done the Q&A. Okay. Very good. So you have to tell people, I don't like it when the monks and nuns, or when you try to give advices to people and this is against, the Buddhist principle, against the precepts, whatever. You have to be very specific and tell them, son, you have to be more respectful. Son, you cannot look down on people, okay, and so forth. Be very specific, okay, and behave accordingly. Okay, you yourself need to back off. Back off from what? You have any wisdom? I'll give you a tip from wisdom. You back off the things that you're adamant about. Okay, continue.
people won't turn back. So Guanyin Bodhisattva sits backwards.
咱们现在这个道场啊，这大家来共同的布置，那么也就是布置观世音，观世音菩。
Now, in our temple, we should all protect and support together. That is to protect and support Guanyin Bodhisattva.
Okay, so you see, it's the Chinese logic. Now I realize that because people don't want to turn back, so that's what one you said. You should turn back because I'm looking back myself when I sit. It's so Chinese. I don't get the Chinese logic there. And I, being a Western educated person, I say, whoopee. Yes, Catholic. He has an opinion. About sitting back? 4.
I have a question actually. What does it mean what would they protect Bodhisattva from? Like it says protect and support Bodhisattva.
No, protect the temples. Way place is a Buddhist jargon for temples.
Oh, okay.
You should know it by now, since you hang around it for so long. Way place means temples, as opposed to church. Yes, 7.
Chin says, I think the logic is meeting living beings where they are.
Leading?
Meeting.
Meeting beings?
Meeting the living beings where they are.
But the living beings are looking forward. They're not looking backward. Oh, so now she's looking at living beings? Oh, that's too Chinese. That's too subtle a Chinese logic. You know what she's saying? He says that that the Buddhas teach us to look forward, teach us to look forward, you know. But so that's what living beings are doing. So Guanyin Bodhisattva, in order to assist the Buddhas, she sits facing backward. It's so subtle. It takes a Chinese to understand it. For us, it's just, peasants from the West. We wouldn't understand it. But it takes a courageous Chinese person to tell us how ridiculous the Chinese logic really is. Yes. Go ahead. Let's continue to hear from the Chinese people. Go ahead, Q&A. Let them have it.
Thank you, Master. From my perspective, what I think is, sometimes when we do things, we go forward, we don't look back and learn the lesson that we have. So just like the one thing that I always remind my children that wherever you go, when you leave that place, don't forget to turn back and make sure that place looks better than where you first saw it. And it happened to children, regular thing at home too. So when they wake up, prepare for school, and they rush, and then they make a mess on the counter or island before they leave the house. But I say always look back, give an extra little time, look back and organize things a little bit to keep it organized, but at the same time, keep the place where you leave behind better where you first see it. So maybe that's how I look at it.
Okay, but that's Americanized. Did you have anyone have another point here? 6?
I think the YouTube comment was exactly my point too. I know, right? If I just sit facing south, then I'm facing Guanyin Pusa. Because she's facing north.
You're facing her back.
Which is why I'm looking.
American logic is wrong now.
That's why I'm looking for advice. So as long as I sit facing north, then she's facing me.
Yeah, and then she will talk to you. Perfect. Whereas if you face south, then you only see the Buddha's back. It's so Chinese.
I'm not set up for success here then.
But don't you know how beautiful the Buddha's back is? I would rather face his back.
Thank you, Master.
I don't get the back and forth and south and north. I mean, I'm serious. I know I sound confused because I am. Yes, 7.
A Di Đà Phật, con nghĩ cái này là cái nghĩa bóng mình đã hiểu là mình với Đức Phật Bồ Tát là liên lạc với nhau. That's it. Đâu phải một đường thẳng mà Nam với Bắc, là cái người hướng Tây quay ở đâu? Rồi cái ông hướng Tây Bắc hay người hướng Đông quay ở đâu? Bây giờ mình gọi điện thoại cái cell phone nè, rồi mình gọi mình quay ở đâu để gọi cell phone? Thì con nghĩ cái đó là mình hiểu nghĩa bóng vậy thôi. Là Ngài ở mọi nơi, như mình học kinh Quan Nghiêm đó, Đức Phật ở mọi nơi. Từ ngọn cỏ, ngọn cây, tất cả đều là Phật. Thì quay ở đâu? Đâu phải một đường thẳng mà quay Nam với Bắc, rồi cái ông hướng Tây hướng Đông quay ở đâu? Rồi người phía dưới phía trên nó quay ở đâu? Rồi ông ở trên vệ tinh ông quay ở đâu? Trên satellite. Xin hết.
Master, I think like right here we should not understand it literally, but like we need to understand in a different way. Because this is only an analogy that how Buddha and Bodhisattva relate to us, and then this is not you cannot think like, okay, this is straightforward, like it's north and south, and then if you say like that, how about the Buddha in the east and in the west, where do you face to? Or like, for example, if you dial a phone number, what direction do you face to? So in the sutra, I say the Buddha is everywhere. So you cannot just understand it literally like that.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. But I still don't get the point he's making. Why south and north specifically? Why do Buddhas face south? He should have explained it a little bit to us. Okay, that would help. And unfortunately, the people who were there are like sheeps, didn't ask any question, or they're too stoned to ask questions. It's weird. I mean, he spent 10 minutes, 20 minutes talking about this, and and they just didn't care. What are you talking about? What am I missing? That's my point. Of course, I have tremendous respect for him, but if I don't understand, I'd like to ask, what is it I don't understand? I admit to you, I don't understand this north and south thing here. It just literally doesn't make sense to me. And it keeps on harping about sits facing south and north. I just don't get it. Sorry. Not Chinese enough, I guess. Yes, 7.
Anna Laura has a suggestion. She says, we in the Saha world are upside down until one finds the Buddha's way.
I'm still holding my breath. She's probably Chinese too, huh? I mean, it's so abstract. You just find a Buddha's way. We're talking north and south, lady. Oh, thank you for your input. Please help us out. I wish, the master has so much wisdom. I wish somebody would show they care. And say, all due respect, master, I don't get it. You guys do it to me, but no one did it to him. So clearly, you do it on purpose to embarrass me. Yes, 8.
Master, I read this last night, and I just remembered, kind of clicked. It's from the CTTB writings about Wanyan Bodhisattva.
Wait. You read the CTTB material?
Information about Wanyan Bodhisattva. I like to read up about her, In
the midst of our Chanchi, when you're fasting at my temple?
Is it okay I read up on Wanyan Bodhisattva?
Okay.
I mean,
for you,
come on, man.
Okay. Okay, sister, just for tonight.
It says, a couplet says, why does Wanyan sit facing backwards? Why does Wanxian Bodhisattva sit facing north? Why did he turn around in his seat? It's because living beings have not turned their heads around. It's due to the fact that people in this world will not turn away from confusion and return to enlightenment, and will not retire when they have reached the crest of their success.
Clearly.
That's what it says. It is said, the sea of suffering is boundless, a turn of the head is the other shore.
Clearly.
I thought you'd like that.
No, I don't.
Well, I was being sarcastic, Master.
And you're right. Okay, you're right, lady, even though it's just too Chinese for me. Yes, Daniel.
Trying to understand it too, but I don't know why. And I was listening to her very carefully, and I think I got more confused.
Yeah. That's precisely the point. I mean, so living beings, let me get this. Okay, go ahead, 7. Maybe someone will help me out before I put my foot in my mouth.
Chin has a suggestion, but first, Annalora said, my apologies, she meant that as a question. So I guess, are we in the Saha world upside down until one finds the Buddha's way?
Well, yes. Only the way can help you get out of the confusion you have. So, in other words, this is a very powerful statement. In other words, if you go against the Buddha's way, you're confused. You want me to go on? That's so specific already. What's the matter with you?
Sounds good, Master. Thank you. Would you like to hear Twin's suggestion?
Yeah?
Perhaps Buddhas are facing south because that's how typical Chinese buildings are.
In the West too, we love our building to face south. Not just the Chinese, right? In the West here, you prefer the building to face south, you avoid facing the building to face west and so forth because the afternoon sun hits you up. And the south has more light and so forth. Okay? But I still don't get, so she wants living being to look backwards, so she sits facing south, and then is connected to the Buddha. She sits facing the opposite direction of the Buddhas. Buddhas face north, so the one north or south? Oh, Buddha faced south. See, I rest my case. I'm so confused after half an hour discussing this. Okay, so Buddha face north, and therefore she faces south. And to me, in my simple mind, if my Buddha faces north, I face north. There's a reason why he faces north. I would like to figure out why he faces north before I face south. You know what I mean? I with all due respect to Wanyin, who is another idol of mine, okay? I would face the Buddha's direction first. I would not face her direction. Maybe that's why I have so much trouble with my one-year statue. She's not supporting me. Yes, Daniel.
Maybe they're trying to say that if you go the wrong direction and not face the Buddha, maybe Guanyin Bodhisattva can help you still?
Don't help the Chinese. It's confusing enough. See, after all this, only one Chinese person chimed in. Well, we only have one Chinese person anyway. So it's still confusing. It's so Chinese. Yes, I appreciate the thing from Vicky there, from that side. It's still too Chinese. To me, it makes sense to the Chinese, but it doesn't make sense to us. That's my point here. My point here, you cannot speak Dharma for your own countrymen only. Because here in America, we are very sensitive to culture. I cannot speak to you and quote the Vietnamese all the time, or, and the French all the time. It has to be whatever you want to hear, whatever interests you, something I understand, identify with, gods and church and so forth. That's what you need to speak, and that's what you need to do when you speak Dharma. You can't just say, face south and north, because it doesn't make sense to us. You see, to me, unless I hear otherwise, this is his weakness. He's too Chinese. He's not culturally sensitive. And he has so much authority that people didn't dare ask him questions. It's weird back then. If I were there, I would ask him so many questions so that I wouldn't have to, to talk about, explain things to you. Doesn't make sense to me, south and north, period. Now, I disagree with the thing where, yes, I see suffering, and from that, that website. I don't even want to mention the names, okay? I don't want to be like them. You know why? I'm manic. Don't you get it by now? I realize after all this time, I don't want to be like them because I'm so manic. I reject people. So, my objection to that logic is that it's not specific enough. Okay? It's not a call for action. It's just like, you should know that the way forward is a sea of suffering. And the shore, instead of going out there, go back to the shore where it's safer and where the gelato stand is, just look back. That's right behind you. Okay? And to me, what I just said to you is American. Okay? Because I tell you, forward, no good. It's a sea of suffering. Forward, no good. So we elaborate more. We say, the way forward is not a sea of suffering, because you talk about sea suffering now, you say, oh my God, it's a sea. No, just say, hey, listen, you keep doing this, it's not good. You keep on drinking, it's not good. It's very specific. Don't talk about a sea of suffering. Why are you rejecting people? It's suffering. Don't you see when you reject people, your heart doesn't feel good, does it? Hello? You understand? When you reject, no, you don't, of course not. Stupid boy. You understand stupid? Hey, I rest my case. He's enjoying the poodle. The poor poodle is saying, hey, I'm not a horse. The poodle is telling Alo, I'm not a horse, but I don't care. I'm going to ride you. That's suffering, boy. No. So the point here is that I object to the way it's communicated. It's sound. Forward is suffering, backward is safety. Okay? But we are not Chinese. The Chinese understand it. Our young people don't understand it. Sea of suffering? What are you talking about? I just want to drink. What's the matter with you? Just a beer? What's so harmless about it? You know what I mean? So you need to be very specific. And so that Chinese explanation there, I understand that. You don't need to tell them. I know exactly what the Chinese mean. Okay? However, my objection is the fact it's still vague. You cannot teach people. You cannot transform people if you give them generalities. This is why the Chinese are failing now in this generation, because they are too abstract. They hang on to whatever is taught, centuries ago. And it doesn't really connect with us people anymore. Now is the era of TikTok, where you have 2 minutes of something very specific. How to do something on your phone, I don't even know. Okay. It's so specific nowadays. 1 or 2 minutes, 15 seconds, and that's what people want. Specific things that are of interest to them. Do you get my point? We need to be specific to people's needs. You can't just say, sea of suffering. Just say, hey, making noises is suffering. Attacking people is suffering. It has to be specific. That's what I'm trying to make the point, is that we need to give specific instructions in order to transform people. Because, again, I talk to so many young Chinese people. They intrigue me, because you know why? Because I see them, as having this tremendous heritage and the DNA that came from their ancestors. So I was curious as, what is it you got I don't have? I'm very, competitive person. You have it, I want to have it. You know what I mean? I want the best. I just don't say it. See? Because that's the only mode I operate. I don't need to tell you. I don't need to tell you I want the best, because, hey, that's who I am. I don't need to tell you. If you hang around me long enough, you know that I want the best. I don't want second. Okay? Not me. No interest. So I talk to these people and say, what is it you have? Tell me. What do you think you understand from these beautiful, abstract and profound Chinese teaching from Confucius, from Lao Tzu, from Buddha, from Master Hsue and so forth? They tell me so many profound principles. And I say, and what do you do about them? I say, do? What do you mean do? Isn't it enough I tell you about the profound principles? I say, no. I need to tell me specifically exactly what I do, what to do. TikTok me. That's how you connect with people, especially young people or people in our eras. You cannot be specific, because let me tell you right now, for my samples of the young Chinese people and young Koreans I met, they're not specific enough. That's why they're confused. They don't know what to do. They know all the principles. They do stupid things. Yes. 7.
Anna Laura says, well, Master, we are clearly in another stage in regards to your teachings. About a decade ago, you would teach more like learning from Master YongHua.
Say what? I can't change my mind? No, you're wrong, honey. Anna. It's because you all progressed. Back then, I looked at my student and I said, the best you can be is Master YongHua disciples level, okay? That I'd be so happy. Honest with you, I look at my loser disciple and said, where did you come from? Why are you here? So I said, I tell you what, I will raise the standards for you. Okay? I will teach you a beautiful thing called Chinese wisdom. Because I don't expect you to be able to make it. and then 15 years later, and Anna is so perceptive. It started about a year ago. I started rebelling. I became rebellious. Okay? And I said, this doesn't work for them anymore. Because I tell them the way the Chinese did, and then they still do stupid things. I have to be specific. Are you sure you want to do it? Because there's no time for abstract things anymore. You want to mess with me? So back then, there's not much hope. Now, I'm so hopeful. I can be my true self, violent, temperamental, and you can take it. You have to understand, Master Sheo, he taught his disciples, he yelled them, they run away. And this is not Buddhism. Okay. Now, our Buddhism is a little bit different from his. Now, our Buddhism involves temper, involves violence, involves movies, museums, pizzas. Because it's important to me. We're not here to serve the Chinese anymore. I'm sorry. Okay? That Dharma really works well for the Chinese, for the Asians. No interest. Hey, time is up. Alon, would you like to say something, honey? No? You see, look at that. Look at how the kid can feel so comfortable going to one place or next all over. You see, that's a difference. The kids are very sensitive unless they're drawn to kindness. And they're not going to draw near you unless they feel comfortable. That's why I can take chances and yell at you and scream at you. Yes, Seven, did you still have make a point?
Oh, just last comment from Jane. She says the existing Chong classes that we have are really awesome. They are second to none and really effective in helping young people.
Do you have young people in the Chan class? That's the first. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.